So, yesterday I started this Windows privilege escalation room, and so far we've made a lot of notes actually, because we didn't have any notes. I didn't have any notes on this in my start here, right? So I have notes, but I just random stuff, random notes there. So of course I had well, this is a Linux one. So Windows, I have random notes. Though we added the eye cackles, we added something else here too. And I'm very sweaty. It's just 29.9 degrees inside, 27.6 so far outside. It's actually a bit cloudy today. We'll see how warm it will get when the sun starts shining a bit more. It's just 8:40 so far. Yeah. Let's just get started. Anyway, we have credentials left from unattended installation. We have a partial history file that I had no idea it existed, and I found it on my machine. It seems to be like all the history ever since I reinstalled Windows on this machine. Saved credentials. Right. So this is nothing that you can actually, you can't see password, but you can do run as save cred with them. And we have configuration files, and so far we found in this the find string to find strings inside of files in Windows, and that's very nice. And then of course type to type the file. We have IIS, two different paths here, and one of them seems to contain a version number, so there might be more there. And then configuration for PuTTY, just proxies. And the machine, the demo machine here has them. Let's start that one, by the way. Here, because this is for the current one too. And we don't want to do that. So this one uses the same box, and then we have two others here. So let's go back, continue checking the notes to remember what I learned yesterday. Sched tasks can be used to list all tasks. We can get information about a specific task, and if we have permissions, we can start the task also from the command line. And in the example here, we had this permission just to be able to, since it was run at start of computer, it was kind of, hard to get to otherwise. So permissions and ownership. I made this file on iCackles here too, just listing the permissions, and I made this list with the help of ChatGPT. And we also have the help listing here for iCackles, so we can easily see all the things and search it there. And yeah, and how on earth to get text into a text file in Windows command prompt? Well, it works not in PowerShell, but in the normal command shell. You can do just echo redirects it to a file, and this is the schedule task file that we had here. Then we have the MSI, always install elevated, that we were reading at the very end there. There's a MSF Venom command to generate this, with of course the IP and port here in it. So we have not tried this because apparently the box example one to test things on didn't have this, so we couldn't test it. But I'm sure we'll find it somewhere sometime to test this too. But I've seen people do it, like El Hasred and maybe someone else. So I'd seen it a few times already. So that's a good thing with, even if you don't understand everything, especially when I started watching streams. But you have like something to reference back to later. Like, I've seen this, even if you don't take notes on everything, you get experience from watching stuff, and that's great. Yeah, so we're where we're at. Windows services. We're going to get a lot more information here. This is great. Also, I realized that I didn't like the last room, and it was the same for Linux, and it's a very, very good list of things. Especially if I had seen this room earlier, it would have been even better. So why they have this as a medium, I don't know. Because I think this is what they should start with for everything, If you have this, you have a good list of things to start with. So let's like it. And we actually have here 3,716 people liking this one. Did anything happen when I clicked? Let's see. You cannot make the same vote twice. Okay, apparently it went through. And let's also, at once, I don't forget it, do the same for this one. And those are, I think I've only done it on 2 rooms before. So I like these, they're good. Also that we can test most of the things on the machine. Example machines here. So this is abusing service misconfigurations. And tell me if the cars on the street, that was a bus actually, they're just outside the window, like a few meters. If they're too noisy, I will have to close the window. And well, we actually have 0.1 less. It's 29.8 now, and 27.3 outside. We'll see. Oh gosh, it hopped now to 30.1 inside. So drinking is drinking a lot of water is a trick, right? My brain might just slow down if I get too warm. You can feel how you're like, what? So let's get started reading this. So, well, first let's make sure the VM is not started. So let's start my VM too. We will need it. We could also connect to the RDP, so we're done. So let's just make sure I have the TTS need to be up, and I want to see. I can see both chats here, YouTube and Twitch, and maybe I should have automated messages to both chats. I didn't add that. That's a thought for later. Let's actually put that on post-it. I'm not going to look for my other notes, but we do have, when I cleaned here, I found some post-its. Or found on second pile of them. So, auto message to YouTube. To actual paper. I feel so old-fashioned. And pen. And typing with your hand. I'm not used to that. So, just logging into Kali. Password 1, 2, 3. Nah, it's harder than that. Apparently because I failed because I was talking at the same time and paused. There, so it's starting. I might as well do all the things first. So now I started 2 terminals, I think. No, just 1. Nah, I typed too quickly. There, and then we go to 1 and open this and do X. There, and it's the same one, so that's nice. How it just remembering everything. Oh right, the IP is not right, so I do have to type the IP. 174.224. There. So I woke up a bit late today. I thought, I'll just sleep a little bit more. There. So we have, let's also make it a bit bigger here. Let's make a new tab here. So we're ready to go when we get stuff. So these options are really quite good for this. So I just have dynamic resolution, scale 140. Maybe I should change this one then. Plus clipboard, start ignore, and then the IP, username and password. Kinda nice. So now we'll see what we'll do. Let's actually start CMD. Come on, machine. You're not that slow, are you? And a PowerShell. So we have them both there. That's good enough, right? So it's like almost it's remembering. There, because we want to try things on both, so we can make notes that actually say where it works and try to make. So I have made this only works in CMD, and like this is CMD PS, for CMD and for PS. So you don't have to like try when you're actually using them. You can have all the things fixed already. Yeah, and also this one I would assume works on both since it's a program, but I should probably have added that there too. So now it's time. Just 20 minutes into stream already. Let's get started. So, abusing service misconfiguration. Windows services. Windows services managed. Can you hear that? Should I close the window? I think I will actually. It's anyway 29.8 inside the now. It's going up and down a bit. 26.7 outside, so it's going up outside. No, it's going down. I don't remember really. Let's. Since it's morning still, I think the traffic will just increase in here. Oh gosh, that's nice. But when I don't have the pollen filter window in, then I will get lots of allergies. Oh darn it, allergies are annoying. So let's start it once more. So we have the Windows privilege escalation room. Let's continue. And this is actually the last room in the junior penetration tester kind of suite here, or whatever you call it, path, right? And it's time for abusing service misconfigurations, Windows services. So Windows services are managed by the Service Control Manager, SCM. The SCM is a process in charge of managing the state of services as needed, checking the current status of any given service, and generally providing a way to configure services. Each service on a Windows machine will have an associated executable, which will be run by the SCM whenever the service is started. It is important to note that service executable implements special functions to be able to communicate with the SCM, and therefore not any executable, oh my god, can be started as a successfully allergy. So to pause again, I didn't take my allergy meds, so I'll take 2 allergy pills and there. Very warm. And therefore not any executable can be started as a service successfully. Each service also specifies the user account under which the service will run. To better understand the structure of a service, let's check the app host SVC service configuration with the scqc command. So let's make notes at once here. So services, so far we don't have like any vulnerabilities to do, but just checking on them. And right, I have used this. I've used this as in another room, not on a box, but on a room, I think. Was it actually on a box? Oh well. Memory is great but short, isn't that the thing, right? That's what we say in Sweden anyway. Alright, so let's see here first. Service configuration with scqc, and now I at once want to try this. So if we just do like sc here, what happens? Okay, supply values. So scqc will also want more, so that's not a command in itself. So sc, and now we have the problem here that I can't I don't have Swedish keyboard on this machine, so everything I type with special characters is wrong. So I've been copying all the commands and trying to find the right keys. Not very easy, so we don't really have anything yet. So we just have the specific one, get service on it. We don't have anything yet to list all the services, which we could get in like 10 seconds, of course, but get info on specific service. And let's also change this to be service name. Queries service config success. Okay, so service or something, service configuration maybe something, and then query config. Yeah, and there's definitely right long name for this too, right? What did it say? Yeah, set. Oh, it's set content command. Set content is this one. Well, we see a bit of information about the service, and let's check my notes. Now, searching for SC might not give much, right? Because, but if we do like SC space, maybe we'll get all the nmaps space before. So here I do have notes on this, and I also have a help here. Right. Yeah, so here we have all the service things. So we will just link to this, and we will have a bit more. And I have the PowerShell bit and the command line. And what they use here, SCQC, is not what's used here. We use get service. And get service. So get service could probably get more details there too. And SC and net is what we use for command line here. And we also have the help here. So SC query. So I'm just comparing this with the QC in the current command. So this is config, to change the configuration. We don't have anything here about, except for query. Yeah, I remember using this. It wasn't that long ago. And then I googled, I found a page with a lot of information there. So, PS and CMD control services. So, this is not the important bit here. This is obvious. And let's start with services and then do control after, because services is what I would look for, right? So we're updating it to be able to find it easier. If I had been looking here and I would have seen CMD and PS first, I wouldn't have been like, oh, this is what I'm looking for when I'm looking for services. So now we have services control here. We can do comma 2 to show that it's really services. And now we have something easier to use here. There. So we have all the common info there. Then we have a new one here that wasn't actually there, so we might add there too. If this is good. And my notes are they're public available on GitHub, so if you're interested in the notes, here we can see that the associated executable is specified through the binary path name here. Parameter, and the account used to run the service is shown in the service start name here. Services have a discretionary access control list, DACL, which indicates who has permission to start, stop, pause, query status, query configuration, or reconfigure the service, amongst other privileges. The DACL can be seen from Process Hacker, available on your machine's desktop. Yeah, I noticed there that we had a if we just make these a bit tinier, we have Process Hacker here. Though I don't think we would need to use this, right? So let's see, what can we see here? And I don't know what permissions we have now, but probably not very high, right? We're the normal low priv. I think it's called something like that. So, dependencies, recovery, logon as. So, I'm sure there are other ways to see it, but maybe this is the best way. Let's see what it says. We have it up now. Host SVC properties. So let's go to app host SVC here. The same service. Oh my goodness, it's hard to scroll in this. Let's actually search. Okay, so let's just mouse over here. App host SVC and go properties for this one. And security, it's not here. Permissions, no, we don't have permissions to see permissions. So let's go back and continue reading. So there is somewhere something like that looks like this. All the service configuration are stored in the registry under HKLM system, current control set services. So this is more interesting because I don't want to install some program anyway. Though we might not have access to this. But let's add that one to the notes. So I should probably have read all of this and then made notes. That would have been better, but now we're here, so. For service info. 30 degrees inside now. 27.8 outside. I'm sorry, but I will go and get a sandwich because I'm a tad hungry here and I haven't actually eaten anything, so I just wanted to get started. But I think I need something to eat, and also let's see if it's actually open all the way and that the fan is on downstairs so that we can suck colder air in. A bit colder. Now it says 28.1 outside. There's another fan is on. I should have had it on light, it would have been colder inside. Anyway, can't do much about that now. Though time travel would be nice sometimes, right? So, we could of course look, but we have so low privileges, but it's a good test, right? So let's see. So it's at Putty. So the one who made the box was checking this out. Because we reset it and we haven't looked anything at the registry. So let's see. The command that we used yesterday for registry, proxy, was it related to? My SSH server. So let's see, HTLM, LM, and system, current control set, and services, and then the current service or the service we want. and the one that we're looking at is app host svc. Here, parameters. Description, display name, DLL. And these are of course also DLLs, but required privileges. Required for starting it or what? Controlling it? svc host exe. Okay, app host. So there's bits of salt on where I put the bread, so it's a bit salty actually. We've been eating eggs. I think we'll do that again today. It was a few days, it was actually a week ago now I think. But the salt is kind of like ingrained in the wood. I guess I should clean it better too. Maybe my kids been using salt because it was it must have been like new. Oh, that's not my intention. I meant to move this. Because I noticed my camera was a bit on top of it there. We have lots of space, right? We were just looking at the reverse shell here the other day. I mean yesterday. So, we have looked at this. HTLM. A subkey exists for every service in the system. Again, we can see the associated executable on the image path value, and the count used to start the service name on object name value. If a DACL DACL has been configured for the service, it will be stored in the subkey called security. As you have guessed by now, only administrators can modify such registry entries by default. Yeah, but we can see it at least. Sorry. That's not me, it's my Tommy. So let's just click a random thing here. Random. So most of them don't have much information. I'm just checking to see if one of them has a security. We could search it. Yeah. So current control set services AJ router security. And there is you have something security. So if we click this one, it won't have it. And it finds this one, of course. Then we have app info, also has security. So oh, I'm clicking the wrong key. I'm like, what? I was clicking F5 instead of F3 to go to the next hit. So we got access denied, which is nice. We can't look at the security for this one. So there, it's different. Apparently this one is more secure, and this one we can see. So if we click here, we have some kind of long thing here. If a decal has been configured by the service, it will be stored in the subkey called security. So this is the decal. I don't know. As you have guessed by now, yeah. So insecure permissions on service executable. If the executable associated with a service has a weak permission that allows an attacker to modify or replace it, the attacker can gain the privileges of the service account trivially. To understand how this works, let's look at a vulnerability found on the Splinterware system scheduler. To start, we will query the service configuration using SC. Yeah? I am thinking though that we need to check out what we can see with our commands we already have in the notes here, right? So this one, I'm opening it in a new tab. Let's close a few others down here. Linux. Yeah, this was me experimenting with adding GTFO bins to my notes, so it's cloned into my notes. suid_st nfs gcc, so we can close all of these schedule tasks. Yeah, let's close it too. So we can see the full names up here. So if we were to run get service here on the machine to compare with their way of getting information, so I get service. Alright, I can't type because I'm trying to Control C. It's slow, the box, it's slow. That should have been a dash, not a slash. So get, let's see, is it here? Yeah. This will teach me the American keyboard. So we can just have a quick list of the services. So I think I'll actually add this to my notes. We just quickly adding. They're using graphical tools. I don't really want to have any graphical tools here. And also let's even if it works without capitalization. And this is of course PS. And this one can also be replaced with, well, here we have, I remember messing about with this before I found the good one. If we do it, on the CMD instead here, we can do this. And then we get more information about all of them. It's easiest information to read is just a simple list here, right? This kind of looks like this. Though it's text, and this is more too much information. If we want information about a specific one, then we can use one of the others. So let's, I'm just scrolling a bit in this. So I had to do this on my machine to get the help. Also, let's see, just to have done it, what happens if I do get service here? I would assume the command doesn't exist. Not recognized as an internal or external command, right? And then we have on the partial side, stop service, end with force, start service, set service, the status, and disable service, and set it to automatic. We can do all of these things from the command line here. And then on the CMD side, we have using net stop or SC stop. So it's several ways. We could actually just merge these because, you know, it's just two ways to do the same thing. And it's kind of obvious without the comment that this is SC. Start service, set disabled, and here I actually didn't continue editing the notes. Copy this from a web page, so we can remove that. So SC config, start disabled, start auto, manual, automatic, and then we have the help. So why did I just miss one of them? I have realized that, and also let's use my common way of doing this, which is now help there. So then we have an easy thing to just pull together if we don't want it up. To get more information about the service in the command line, I don't have that here, so we can add it because now we have one. And I'm trying to be explicit, or rather consistent with the, if I have another one with the same. So here, and this one, right, I should have just if I paste this, we will get so much extra that we don't want. And there were only these characters, no special characters or anything. So let's use the example that we had. Tabbing to the room here, it was Windows scheduler, their example. Windows scheduler. And we get information on only this one. And this works in the CMD. And now for the test. As I assume this is just a normal executable. Let's see. No, so this doesn't work here. So this is for CMD, which is right interesting. And the reason why I have the notes very split in this one. So this is for CMD. We put it in the right place. So what am I using here? SH, right? Since there's a partial one, but I'm using it here. Definitely right. But there's nothing for like DOS. So just using the normal SH. And I have capitals on everything here. There, so we're actually adding to our big info on services too here. We could also just call this Windows Services, but Windows is implied since we're in Windows, Escalation. Whatever, let's keep the control there for now. And soon I'm going to check on my 13-year-old. He actually fell asleep at 22:30 yesterday, meaning he's slept 11 hours. He must have been tired. So, but I'll wake him up at 10 if it's not awake. So he has 30 minutes to sleep a bit more if he wants to. Or he might be waking up. We'll see. So, we have done this, added it to notes. We can see that the service installed by the vulnerable software as SVC user 1 and the executable associated with the service is C program here, W service. When we proceed to check the version on executable, I was like, what? They run it, but they just iCackles it. Yeah. So I'm sorry if this becomes a bit choppy from me hopping to the notes all the time, but I think it's important. The notes is what I will have left, except for my general memory, and I won't remember all the details, all the commands. So iCackles executable service. So what's this actually called again? Here, binary path name. The binary path name. That's me holding space and touching a few other keys at the same time. It's funny, now it says it's 22 outside since I closed the window, so it might have been the heat, like just running out the window. onto the roof where this is. I should go outside the window and like tape it on the wall or something, so that it's not just on the roof, it's just thrown out on the roof, the sensor. There, so it also had another name, I think. So binary path name is the name we got in the command prompt when we run this. Did we get here? And what did it have in the registry? So nothing else here. Here we could also see a it's nothing here. Here they have so I'm trying to look for finding something started with SVC host is kind of like there are a few of them. So much easier just to list, right? So let's look at one of these with more information. Here, something. Here we have image path. So if we go for the same one, tab should actually tab here. It's it was just slow. So if we tab to this one, we go to one that has here Windows scheduler, right? If we try to find it here, no, registry. I'm blind. This is a registry, nothing else. So, and this is called Windows, meaning it's far down the list. Oh my god, this is why I prefer command lines. All this trying to find things in things that are not only text. And I'm like, what was the name again? Windows scheduler. Was that hard to remember? No. I could have searched for it. So actually, I'm just going here by arrowing back, and then we go into Control F, Windows, scheduler. Now this might be case sensitive, but it was lowercase. Did I type scheduler wrong? SC. Yeah, I probably did. So, yeah. Oh god. I was typing too quickly. There, so now we found it. I could have found it by scrolling. I totally missed it in all the Windows ones here. All the W's. So here we have image path, confirmed that it's image path. So now we can add to the registry, and I'm trying to tab on the wrong machine. Here, image path. In registry, and I have to take a quick bathroom break. Sorry. I'll also wake up my kid. ska inte få sova så länge. So he said he was awake. But didn't reply at once when I talked to him. And also I realized I don't have any ear thing in. And I haven't heard much. So before I put it in, let me just do a test here.
Fixit says,
Yeah.
test.
So it works, it's just that no one is chatting with me. There. So let's continue. So we added image path. That's what it's called in registry, in case we ever wanna like do anything with that. So it's also not clear what these are. That looked funny first. So binary path name, in SC, image path in registry, and then SC we can find here if we wanna. I don't want this line to be too long, and this is good enough. Good enough. Now I'm curious, if we were to search using our recently gained knowledge of find str, can we do as we can with grep and just do like an advanced search thingy there to match several ones? I'm assuming we can somehow, but let's not look into that now. Let's go back to the room. So iCackles here. We didn't really run it, did we? I'm just scrolling down to the end of the output there in PowerShell now. So that's my 30-year-old getting up. So let's actually do iCackles on the service here. And let's do it here. And we did this yesterday on something, and it works on both, which is good. I'm sorry for the hoppiness of this. But of course, iCackles is for checking out the permissions. Is that obvious? Get perms. So here we have something interesting. The everyone group has modified permissions M on the service's executable. This means we can simply overwrite it with any payload of our preference, and the service will execute it with the privileges of the configured user account. And then we generate a payload here, and we can copy this one as a example here, because we have this service. I'm kind of sure I have this in the notes, but not in this place apparently, since it's new. Right. So I think we could write to the path in the previous one. I tried this on, or did this on. This was why we have the notes. So MSF Venom. This is kind of obvious. I don't think I need any notes on this. We can see that we make a reverse TCP and it's an exe service, right? So I could make more notes by making this kind of comments. This is for an MSI. Maybe we should do that. Like generate make. Why do I have generate? Whatever. Service executable, and we can keep whatever was there. And this is get permissions. Service info location in registry. Then I don't have to type so short information, you know. So these are short collected info about the registry. About services. And there are more info here. Get service. This was the worst one. Doesn't say even that it's listing them. When I made this, there was a vulnerability that was found. So let's actually search for get service, not for this, because this is just 2 letters. So if we search for get service, I'm getting things here. This is Steel Mountain. So I'm just trying to remember what was that made this vulnerable. We could write to the directory, I'm kind of sure. Cert util, right. So we overwrote it here. But how did we find that this was there? Win piece. Yeah, win piece. Interesting services, none. Check if you can overwrite some service binary. So it's win piece that can find this thing. So you don't like manually check all the permissions on all the services on a box. You don't do that, you know. But that's a nice thing to Let's actually add win piece to the end here. So we'll have a tools here at the end, and then we'll add a win piece here. There. So if we don't find anything else, we could do win piece, right? Meaning can be found by a win piece. And this was my alternative way. And the first way was something else. It was interpreter finding stuff. Or what? All right, it was the Rigetto HFS one. And I remember it. So I need to bind things together in my brain. So that's what I'm looking for when I used it before. And also, you can't just go into and check permissions on all files or services manually. So we need some kind of trick here. Good morning. Good morning.
John Rosemary says, "Good morning."
So I'm looking at services, Windows services, and I realized, or I remember that I used this, and I'm just looking up the information here. So why do I have a full listing here in my notes? This is just too much to read. So where did I find it? I might have other notes there too. I'm not going to look at it now. That's good enough. So, because I made these notes when I Googled it. Maybe should have asked like ChatGPT for a list of commands instead of making it myself. Well, I don't know, it's kind of good to do it yourself too, but it might not be complete then. And also you have to test all the things, of course, from ChatGPT. You can't just assume it works or is correct. Even if you're searching for basic facts, like if a camera can do a certain thing, that I have been asking it before, and it made it totally non-correct list. It said that this camera can't do 1080p by USB, which it can. So this is an old Sony A68. Yeah, let's go back to the room and continue. Not Cali, the room. So they generate this reverse shell, which is an exe service. I like the syntax of MSF Venom. It's very simple and logical. I like it. And they of course listen on the same port. No, they share HTTP. What will we download? The new exe we have made, of course. Yeah. Yes, we need to upload it to the box here. And this is from PowerShell. They use vget to get it. In the one that I was on right now, I had to use another thing. Once the payloads, let's actually look at the notes, and I'm sorry for hopping back and forth. Download with CMD. Yeah, search util. That's what I used. And vget is PowerShell's way. Easier. And then we see they hop back and forth there, don't do it in both. Once the payload is in the Windows server, we proceed to replace the service executable with our payload. Since we need another test to execute, another user to execute our payload, we'll want to grant full permission to everyone group as well. So, granting permissions. So, setting permissions on files, I don't think I have notes on. We just made this yesterday with the existing permissions, and we also have the full help here. So this would be the place to add information about setting permissions, right? So let's actually take this as an example there. Oh. So it is kind of easy to see there what it does. Let's also copy the full thing, and let's open iCalculus in a separate one and go back to this one, and setting perms. So this is more like an if we can exploit, do like this rather than this is exploration. It's called this one. Upload and set perms. So I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to in between here add the actual upload of it. We don't need to start this. This is like basic, you know. But the specific commands on PowerShell and on no, apparently I failed to copy this. So this is the PS way, and then we also will have a CMD way to do the same. And the CMD way, I just had it over here. It was not upload. Download. So right, download, not upload. Yeah. So this is an actual example of a service, but it's kind of long. So I had to type the full things in here, and then I run them, so that's why they're full things. We'll see. No, it didn't become double. Sometimes we get double, you know. So I usually just do 10, but this is usually my actual path. I might just leave this in here because it might be useful. And this one makes it obvious that if I have this, I can actually use this one without changing anything. You know, I have this saved on my machine. And this example is just one service that was on the one marked. But I think I'll actually leave it because it tells more than just that this is how to download, not upload. Download it on the box to the box. And generate service executable, upload, set perms, and then we will need to also run it. So let's go back to the, my god, why did I just do it twice when I had it there in one? So once the payload is in the Windows server, we proceed to replace the service executable with our payload. Since we need another user to execute the payload, we need to grant full permissions to everyone, and this is what we just so they didn't download it to the right place at once, which I did. So this is just like also moving files. I had a bit of problems with that. Command prompt is better on feedback actually, right? You get this one file's moved. And nowadays, why not just actually say the correct? If it's one, say file. If it's several, say as. Files. Move. Okay, they just back up the old one first. That's nice of them. Right? So we don't need to... what I need to do, though, in the notes, is to... Since this is iCackles, we know that it works on both PS and CMD. And here we have PS and CMD separate. This is on our machine, meaning we don't say where. Alright. So this will also work on both. And let me be very, very boring at this, because I might forget that iCackles works on both. And then I will know. And I won't have to look down here to see that this was only iCackles 2. So, get info. Yeah, so some of them I've used colon and some not. And I think I will skip the colons actually, because it is like, I don't want to have to do it all over the place just because I did where at one place. So next thing is starting it. So listen first, which I don't put in the notes because it's obvious. And finally restart the service. While in a normal scenario you will likely have to wait for the service restart. You have been assigned privileges to restart the service yourself to save you some time. Use the following commands from cmd.exe command prompt. Stop. Yeah. PowerShell has sc as an alias to set content. Therefore, you need to use sc.exe in order to control services with PowerShell this way. This is very good information, because that kind of breaks it, right? That's why we couldn't get help in PowerShell, because it's not executable. I didn't think of that it might be an alias breaking it, you know? And it's set content. Right. So it's not at all connected to some kind of service control. Let's copy this and let's add it to our notes here in services control and PowerShell. So we could of course use this. Note is okay, but let's make the whole thing cursive instead. PowerShell has sc as an alias. Use sc.exe. sc.exe can be used in PS2. Sc is an alias to set content, so breaking it. And no. So how on earth did I make something cursive? Right. There. It's just one star and I works for italics. In Swedish it's called cursive, just we don't have the word italics, so the first thing is not that. And I haven't used the word processor like that for a bit. I would like to make this tinier, the text, but I don't know if it's possible even. So, as we use sc here a lot, but there's a set service. So, stop. Do we really want this information? We don't need this one anymore. I'm moving this one here because we're clicking back and forth there. So stop service and start service. That is the commands here. So this is the ps command for stop service, and how do you do several? What's a character in between? I don't remember. Quick Google. I should have this in my brain. Several PowerShell commands on the same line. Yeah, semicolon. So it's semicolon. right? So I could just do a semicolon here, but we wouldn't get the output, of course. We could also use the farce. I'm just trying to save names here. I can read the notes more, carefully. Now we're actually getting stuff from my notes, not from the page. I think there's a restart for some things, right? Maybe not. Restart service from PowerShell. I'm searching. Restart service. Yeah, because stopping and starting it sounds very, very odd. So there's a restart service. Name and service. Yeah, and we can automate things with this too. Get service, where object, restart service. Nice. This is what I like with PowerShell. This is very nice, right? And all we need is this basic one, restart service name. And we don't have to have 2 lines here, which seemed kind of funny. Let's also add restart here. Stop, start, restart. Right, I'm using these and PowerShell, and we'll have to test this to make sure it works. It's Google, but it's not perfect. And we're using service name there. So now let's copy this one here instead of stop and start, and it looks very logical. And since we should have permissions, we should be able to run this. Anyway, then we need a CMD version of this. And I don't know, I'm sorry if I'm just not just doing the room, but doing a bit of research to make things better, because they're doing stop and start, and we want it to restart. Why not ask it to restart, right? And they're doing sc stop and sc start, and they're not at all using the PowerShell commands, but running sc from PowerShell. There are PowerShell commands. So let's see. In my command line, service control, do I have a restart here? I don't think so. SC might have a restart one. It has lots of things. So if we compare here, we're also using netstart there. It could also be SC. I just think I left it out because it was getting too obvious. And here we have SC start, so it is there. Now when I swap these up and had them in the same line, we could actually add it here. We have confirmation from the room that SC works too. There. Let's Google again, and this time we want restart servers from CMD instead. Restart Windows service from command line. Let's start, let's stop, pause, resume. Steps to restart the service from Microsoft BizTalk. Oh, okay. So this is not really. Here's their command prompt. So this is not really a good source, and we couldn't just remove it. So let's see here. Is there a way to restart a Windows service from the command prompt? Stop start. Yeah, but we're looking for a good command for everything. The thing is also that we can ChatGPT this. SE query. Restart. Okay. For looking for a real restart. There are more comments here. Because restart requires, yeah, this is PowerShell. Yeah, so we could do this from the CMD. So this is a cheat way. And there's also a force option, which I did have in my notes for closing it down, right? Let's see. Only for PowerShell? Yeah. So since I have other things in my paste, let's paste it first. Stop, start, restart. This is until we find a better solution. We're going to fake PowerShell this. There. Let's do service name here. If there are spaces in the name, we don't have a workaround here.
Josh says,
hi, welcome
what are you
in. We're doing the TryHackMe room, Windows, privilege escalation. But I'm also checking things out, because to stop and to start, and some things they do in PowerShell and some things they do in CMD, and I want both because you might be in one of them and not the other. So we want all the options in the notes. And these are my notes, and they're public and available on my GitHub. And I update them at sometimes. So if I were to do this, we would have a problem. But maybe we could just like backslash them, right? We could try this and test it later when we tie things to test. So it's not confirmed that this worked. Then we have the same option here. This is what I was going to add. It also has a force, because when you stop it, you might have to force it. It might ask, do you really wanna? So let's actually add the force here, because we want to get access to this Windows machine. We don't care if we restart something a bit like tough, in a tough way. Force there. And then the CMD, that is what we were researching. would probably be this. But let's continue reading a bit in here. This is a suggestion. Make sure you run the command as admin. Restarted Windows Management Instrumentation. VMI. I guess it's typing its full name made me like, what? So net stop, net start. Yeah. You could also do and. Well, let's wait. You would probably want a double ampersand. That makes it wait for the first command to finish successfully before processing the second one. Yeah, so there we have it.
Can you get hacked through your IP address on iPhone?
Probably. Update your stuff. That's a good thing. So, if we were to use net stop and net start here and do a double ampersand, this is better than running PowerShell that I'm having here now.
Via cellular as well?
I mean, normally there are always new bugs found in software, you know, so I wouldn't say, and I'm not an expert either, but you should always like be safe about things. I always do like never put things I don't want to be public on my internet connected devices. I mean, I don't mind if someone was crazy enough to hack into my computer, they might see my photos of my kids, you know? It's not like I have super secret stuff that would be fun for someone to have. You mean use VPN? No, I wouldn't say VPN is totally secure either, so no. That's not what I mean. We can have the two tests left there, but now we don't have any obvious problems. So let's use the same syntax for all the things here, or the same naming convention. There. So this is not really a restart, but it will wait for this one to stop before starting this, according to this person that made the comment here. You would probably want a double ampersand. That makes it wait for the first command to finish successfully before processing the second. Was there a force in the stop?
I'm worried they LL steal my money.
I don't know where in the world you live, but here in Sweden we have a kind of secure app called Bank ID that I even sign my my payment with my card, with my credit card, with my Bank ID that is connected to my bank and to my identity. And you can't even screenshot the app. It's all locked down on the phone. So I kind of trust that.
I live in Belgium.
Yeah, I'm sure you have great security too. Right? I know, like, US and their social security numbers doesn't seem very safe. I think Belgium is, like, advanced in IT, right? And you don't have this huge population, so you can't make changes. I don't know. But I like, never do too much. Be good enough. So I'm not uncomfortable. People, I could, like, the most worrisome thing for me is like my kids downloading something that could possibly encrypt our family photos, so I have a backup of my family photos. That's the biggest worry for me. I have teenagers, 2 of them, so so just back up the things you want to keep and have them not connected to the network on like a hard drive somewhere or something. And if there's something you really don't want on the internet, then you shouldn't have it on the computer that's connected to internet. But I don't have that for anything. I don't have anything that's that secure at all in my life. So I don't have photos on my credit cards on my desktop, you know. That would be kind of stupid. Yeah, you could use PowerShell. Windows R.
It's just money I'm worried about.
Okay. Talk to your bank and talk to them about how you can make your money secure and what system they have in place to make it secure. Yeah. That's what I would do if I was worried. I'm sure they have lots of security things. I know that my mom was trying to open a different account and transfer some money to that account, and her account was locked because she's 75 years old, and the bank did a security thing. And I don't know how much, it wasn't a few thousand Swedish crowns, so like a few $100, and they just locked the account. She couldn't use her credit card, anything. So we had to like call the bank. I helped her. And then they had really checks to see that she was her and that I was, you know, I wasn't telling her, and I was like some kind of person trying to get her money or something. So she had to answer a lot of questions about who she was, where she lived, her personal information. It was really secure, and that's how it works in Sweden. I don't know how it works, and also with this bank, Swedbank. Yeah. So then you could, of course, do stupid things, like share information you shouldn't, and then someone might be able to do that anyway. But talk to your bank. That's the thing. Right, so here we have a confirmation of the solution that SC stop and double ampersand SC start works. Exactly what I was looking for. Today is 2024, and this command has the first SC called stop.
Oh, it's just because I have this iPhone and it seems all very easy. Thanks for your help.
Okay. Yeah, talk to the bank about iPhone security then too. They probably know all about it. So today in 2024, and this command has the first SC called stop immediately exiting and then start runs milliseconds later. Against a still running stop pending service. Therefore, the start fails and your service does not start up. All that is if it's running for the stop one to stop it. If you run this while it's stopped, then the first command fails and the end logic won't run the start. Stop and stop. Stop if no errors start. So this does not work. Maybe it once did in previous versions. Okay. Whereas SC stop and SC start both have SC exiting immediately. Net stop and net start are blocking. Right. So net stop and start works better. They are blocking. And we're using net stop and SC start in the example command here. That's kind of funny. Why not be consistent and use the same command? So this might be thought through, or maybe it's not. But this is very interesting. Let's continue reading. They wait until the service is stopped and started before net.exe exits. So the timing issue would not apply here. Still, running it against the case of a stopped service, it still fails to start it, because the stop attempt fails. Therefore, everything after the end is ignored. Adding an or after to handle that case will always result in the service running. Yeah. But now he used SC. And it's net stop and started blocking. And we want the blocking ones. We want them to stop and pause until right, so I would like to test this, and we will. So let's add a comment after here. Let's actually use italics here and do net stop is blocking, SC stop is not. And start are blocking, SE stop and start are not. There. I'm just scanning to see if there's anything else. So PS tools, we don't want to install stuff, you know. So that was interesting and good learning, and I'm interested here in the service between, let's start and SE start. And we actually had a separate one on this. So someone already asked this 12 years ago, and now I'm curious. So let's read. In Windows NT, both commands access the same service manager. The user usable part that is older from MS-DOS and OS2, in fact. As he only appeared with Windows NT. Net can only start, stop, pause services. As he has more advanced controls, can query state, create and delete services, change their configuration and security. Yeah. Net only works locally, as it can be used over the network. This is a good thing here. As it shows start, Net accepts display names, as it always requires service name. Very good information. So let's actually copy this information. And I'm kind of assuming that since we don't have a million comments saying you're wrong here, and we have, well, 96 people liking the answer. So here's the command line manager with net versus SC. So they say this is certainly helpful. Find a fundamental difference between command detail on. In particular, this page notes that two commands differ in their timing. Yeah, synchronous. We already have that in our notes, but this confirms that it's true, that net is actually blocking, while this can run in parallel with other things. SC sends the control to the service and then returns to the command prompts. They typically result in SC start returning the service state as start pending. Net start will wait for the service to start, and we will also get feedback, right, if it's completed or not. We can't get that if it's not waiting. SC start. SC stop does not wait for the service to come to a stop, and there will often be stop pending. Net stop, on the other hand, will wait for the service to stop. So, confirming what we have in the notes. Net and SC have different ideas on what they consider to be conditions. The question SC asked to determine if it was successful is, did I successfully send a stop control to the service? If it did, regardless of whether the service stopped, it is satisfied with a successful condition. Net asked the question, did the service I attempted to stop return that it stopped successfully? If it did, then it's satisfied with the condition. If it didn't, no matter what the reason, then net fails the successful condition. And net is what we want, right? We don't want it to like, oh la la, I don't know what's happening in the world. I'm just saying random things to people without checking if I get a reply. So this is good information. This is very useful because we want to know if we succeeded, you know, if things worked. So why do we have a message there? I can look later. I will actually here before the help. So info. Let's make this a header too. So this is like general information, and I don't know why it puts a dot on half of them. Because they're like, one works like this, other works like this, right? I just want to get rid of all the things, and let's just give me the simple lines, thank you. There. That was just a long line. There. Oh, sorry. Then we have one thing to add to this, and that's this person, instead of saying it with their own words, they put all this text. When this one person had done it so very nice, very nicely, very short and good. Yeah, so we already have this. We don't need to add it again, but let's copy the previous comment. So where is it? And here, this is the no? Alright, I need to... Oh, that's so annoying. Let's undo instead. There. And we could also use synchronous asynchronous or other words. Meaning we can't get an accurate reply from SC if the command was executed. was if it was successful there. Yeah, so I think that's enough. Just the basics of difference. The where, when they started, I'm not really interested in. Both are very old now. I mean, NT, that's also ancient stuff. The network bit is very interesting, and the name bit is interesting, and this is very interesting and very useful, and makes me believe that this command will work great when we run it. So I'm sorry for the slow pace today, but this is good information, and I want it in my notes, and I want it in my brain. So let's update the page, because it's not always true. So apparently it's not like it's expired really anyway, because we'll see what it says. It's a bit buggy. I still have it up here, meaning either this is it's replying, it's there, it didn't disconnect. That's why I just tried extending it anyway. So let's go back to where we were. So we had done the iCackles bit. It's the restart bit that I was like 2 lines, stopping and starting. And they're also using SC here. So we now know that this is not a good way to do it, because we have researched and we have a better way. Because we won't get any information from these back, as they're not as good as net stop and start. And we also know that PowerShell has a restart. That's not even mentioned in this room. But we got this information from here, and we put it in the notes, so this is good. We're just completing the knowledge with what we get. I'm thinking this we will be able to test in the room. So I'm sure there's questions down here at the bottom. We'll probably do this thing here, and we will actually do what we have put in our notes, and we will use the service mentioned here, so we don't have to really search for it. Disk sorter, this is not the one. Yeah, and quoted service path. Yeah. I have seen that before too. So we already have a service generated with my correct IP. So I don't need to do this again, and we actually have the path to it in the notes. Because when I put the cmd command here, I took it from my notes, and it has the correct path. We need, though, to start the HTTP server to be able to download it, and we are connected to the machine. Well, let's get started. Let's say that we only have cmd, because we have this command for cmd that we want to test. So we're starting, we connected to this one somehow, and maybe we run a script or something to find that the service, we have too high permissions on it, and the service is, let's look at the room again. I'm switching you over again. So service.exe, Windows Scheduler. It's Windows Scheduler is the one, and the file is wservice. Where is it located? Program to system. Yeah, they have the old style pass. Right, let's start with listing it. So we have the icacles of the service, and here we also have the full path. But before this, we have information, and this is the command that works at the CMD. So let's use it in the CMD. We have found out that this service is vulnerable. We can see the path to it here. So we want to confirm that our knowledge about its permissions are correct. So we're doing icacles, and we can see here that users, yeah, here I missed it because it's at top. Everyone has modified to the service executable. I do believe though that it's not mentioned in the room, but I think we actually can't restart the service. I think we actually can't write it unless it's stopped. So maybe all the research on the restart was not actually really relevant here. We will see. So let's follow the room's instructions and see if we can do it this way. And also, I usually don't look at the commands but go on my notes, but now I don't want to type all of the things. So they then generate the reverse shell, and I already have one. So we're just going to start on our machine here, a web server, and this is the correct directory. The I'm just going to the notes so I can show you. This shells directory is a subdirectory to the Kali directory, so it's the correct path. And this exe file, it's in there. I'm sure I don't have to check it. Though this path there is not the right path, because this service is actually located somewhere else. at program 2 system 1, right? All right, I messed up my notes. So we have the path of it here. I have a problem typing here because I don't have Swedish keyboard on this machine, and that's annoying. So let's actually update this with the current path of this service, and so program files, this is the full name. Oh my mouse just popped in the corner there. So I'm just pasting the new path and the file name, and this is a perfect way to do this. The only problem with this is that we might not have the possibility, since it started, the service is started. I think we will need to stop it first, but we can look at this and see if it works. If we don't test things, we don't know if they work, right? So I'm just a bit sad I didn't remember that earlier. It says that URL cache completed successfully. So if we restart and the file was found, it was there, it has the right path. The thing is, was it overridden? No. I was going for T. And let's just start netcat. And I usually use this port. So I'm assuming I have done this here too. Now it's time to do the restart command. And then we of course go to the notes and take our cmd restart command. Also make sure that the new file has the permissions we need. We can just look what they are first. And we're not even sure that it changed, but it still has everyone there. That might mean that the permissions were kept, but most likely it means that it didn't overwrite the file and we didn't get an error message because the download worked, right? It successfully processed one file up there too, but we didn't get anything but cache entries 1, URL cache command completed successfully. Doesn't mean that it actually wrote it to the hard drive on the right place. I don't trust the error messages. We'll see when we restart it if it worked or not. Very critical here. So the cmd command for restarting the service is not yet here. So let's get it from here. So for command line cmd, we have net stop service name sc start. It could be net to be consistent there, but let's try this one. And if it works, we don't care, you know. Also, we won't get any feedback. Let's actually change it because sc won't give us a feedback. So we want the feedback. We want it to wait until it actually started to tell us if it worked or not. Because otherwise, it will never work, right? This will hang if it works, because it will be failing, or it will be failing because it's not a real service, so it can't start. And last time I did this, right, I need to update the name here. Because it's not here. So let's actually paste it here first. And then we're going to actually add the actual name to this part of the notes. So I'm looking here at the information, and this is the name. And we're going to change these to the name. To have this as an example. Well, that one can stay there. Because I did change the path there. Let's see, here it is. W service, so it's consistent with this. And we can look up more information in this if we want to. So now we have, we need to add it here, of course, too. Net stop and net start, and this is a test. The test we have here to see if this works. And we might have to change it all because also there don't seem to be an end there. So let's scroll back down. Let's delete this. Let's paste the new one with the names in there. So this should run net stop, wait until it stopped, and if it succeeded in stopping it, it will run net start. And wait until it knows if it worked or not and tell us. Stop successfully, starting, started successfully. And I think that what we need to do now is to actually stop it. And why this is good is we get information back about what's actually happened. The service is now stopped. If we were now to download it again, it is not running and we can override it, right? Then we go, let's go down instead. So we start it. It's already stopped. We start it. And it did not hang, but it failed. You know? Because now we have a prompt here. And we could do like there. And the System32 as usual. This was quick though, a quick machine. I've seen that go like slow. Meaning we need to change the notes to what I thought was the right thing to do. And we won't be using the PS command to restart either. But we will splitting this up into two ones. And maybe we just want to use this on... of course we have to do this, the same thing on PowerShell 2. But this needs to be done before we download the file. Also, wget has no... we'll have to update this to be as good as this. Right? So the output there is obviously this. We want it to have the correct name. And the file to copy, the URL, should not be something that doesn't exist and doesn't even have an IP. It should be this. So now we have the actual equivalent commands. Only we use URL cache here. I mean, search util. Why did I say URL cache? Well, it's a URL cache function of search util. So we don't have a stop for PS. We have PS first before, so let's do it again. So we need the PS command for stopping, and then we need the PS command for starting. Right, let's also go to the person's desktop, and I don't have special characters, so cd, it's a lot of cd dot here because I can't do a backslash or a slash or anything. And then cd users, no, we can do cd no space dot here, right? Take the opportunity. Let's check what the users are. And I think this is, the question is, what is the flag for SVC user 1? So I'm assuming it's what we can see here. Actually, I think that's the command that was running. Let's do who am I? And we are SVC user 1. So let's go into SVC user 1. And let's there. And instead of working for it, we can cheat and look at the question. Oh, right, it was 11, meaning it's opening up a reminder here. Look, we're at 99% of junior penetration tester path there. So I'm going for the question. Where's the question? It's far, far down. Yeah, I thought so. It said desktop here. That's what I was looking for. So, yeah, I was just testing. But when we have this kind of shell, we don't have tab. So let's type flag.txt. And there we have the at your service flag. There. And we have a 3080 streak. Like a million minus scroll up. Where right, it says I go to desktop to retrieve the flag. Don't forget to input the flag at the end of the task. So we need to do the scan because we want to do it in PowerShell 2 and confirm that our commands are good. So we're going to exit this and we're going to run netcat again. Let's actually I'll just clear and do netcat there. So it's listening nicely. We can see it easily, not just in the corner down there. So we did it here. Let's do it in the PowerShell 1. So go into the notes again. And now we pretend we ended up in a PowerShell shell on the machine. So we'll be doing this with only PowerShell commands, meaning I should add these two. And I have them here in my other notes for PowerShell service control. And how to start a service here. And the stop we will use the force one. And we will add the service name here. There. Right, we don't need these for this one. Yeah, well, let's actually do this and copy the first one for stop. And I don't know if I want to say unfortunately, but I was right about us needing to stop it before copying it. Because we couldn't do it. I don't think vget has higher permissions to be able to overwrite running services. Like the Windows scheduler one. Well, let's actually copy this because I don't want to spell one letter wrong and then we have to redo it, right? We already have the exploit, we don't need this. The first thing to do is to stop it again. We should have had the one there already. But let's actually delete the file, right? And I really need to practice these basic file things in here. Yeah, it's not started because it failed to start. Because it's not a real service. Meaning the command seemed correct at least. You know, we could stop something else to make sure. So I'm copying the prepared command here with the full pass from the notes. The wget one, wget, and this is a path to my file, and then O for the output to go there, and no output again from PowerShell. This is a bad thing of PowerShell, right? We don't get much output, we don't get much feedback on the success of our commands. for now, let's just assume it worked. This command is from the room. They should have tested it, right? So now let's check the permissions of the file, or let's actually run their set permission command, though I think it's not necessary. Cannot find the file specified because we didn't give it the full path. So let's give it the full path. It's right here, there, and I'll copy the full thing again. We'll paste it. And it failed again because access is denied. Yeah, so this would assume that we have other permissions than we have. So I was a bit curious about that, but it already has the permission, so we don't need to set them, unfortunately. So we should just use our PowerShell command to start the service, or we should say try starting the service, right? And let's also look if we get feedback now. Is PowerShell worse again, or is it good? Will we get feedback that this service did not actually start? Yeah. So it failed and we get an error message. That's good, because if it didn't get an error message on this one. So we're here, back here, we already know, we have the flag. So let's just exit and clear and start this for the next one. I'm sure that we will be using it again. So now we have the next bit of it. So this one is complete. This is actually exploiting mperms on service file. That's what this is. Right? Modify. Permissions. Exploiting modify permissions on service file. And I'm not sure if it's in the start here, but it seems like it's not an uncommon thing to do. And we have the full description on how to do it here, except for how to share the file on our machine, and on how to start netcat, because we assume that's obvious. Should I add that this file of course needs to be shared to be able to download it? Since they're public notes, I'm thinking, for me it's obvious. Maybe it's not obvious. Let's assume start share the file, and let's do no. Well, we have that there. So I'm actually going to just copy the one that I used. I should practice typing this more times. I don't think I remember it really if I were to how to type it, because I always just it's just there, you know. But I know the -m. I know really it's HTTP server, and I usually use port 8000. So, because then your notes like keep to stay together. This wouldn't work if I change the port. And then before starting it here, this is not really needed. So let's just skip this step and set perms. We just put it here in case we would have another thing, another vulnerability where we would need it. So start listener, and then we make an example of what could be used. So why do you only get one of them there? Oh well. So we're just, oh sorry, I thought you were on the screen. So I added share the file and start a listener. I moved the permission that we didn't have permissions to set up here to set permission information under the get perms for services. But this is just general file permissions, nothing specific to services. And we have a working for exploiting modify permissions on the service file. And we also need to be able to restart it for this to work, but it might be restarted automatically if it's a real world thing, and if it's not, it's a CTF, we probably have permissions to restart it, right? If we were going for this thing. I know the netcat one. Anyway. Olympi. Everybody seems to do the letters in a different order, but the P has to be last because that's support, and we have the number afterwards. I'm going to go check in on my kids, and then I will see 11:15. Yeah, we can continue. I need to drive in 2 hours to my kid to his school. No, 2 hours and 50 minutes actually. So we have some time, but I will need to eat too in that time, and well, I don't need to change clothes at least, so I'm ready to run actually. And with run I mean actually running as an IRL stream, and this still says IRL test stream. Maybe I should set up my separate account to work with this. But it's not done already, so I'll still be a test stream. So I'll just check on my kids and I'll be back. So there. Unquoted service paths. Now we're going to make a new set of notes, but we have the basics done. But we, I assume, will be exploiting this instead. Unquoted service paths, right? So this will still be services. And lazy as I am, I will paste that. And we won't have to do a new one, but we will add this there. Let's explore it first. When we can't directly write into the service executable as before, there still might be a chance to advance to force a service into running arbitrary executables by using a rather obscure feature. When working with Windows services, a very particular behavior occurs when the service is misconfigured to point to an unquoted executable. By unquoted, we mean that the path is associated executable isn't properly quoted to account for spaces on the command, in the command. As an example, let's look at the difference between two services. These services are used as examples only and might not be available in your machine. The first service will use a proper quotation so that SCM knows without a doubt that it has to execute the binary file pointed to C, program files, real VNC, VNC server, followed by the given parameters. So funny that it does a colon and then we have a screen output. So VNC server, it's service, the only one. Started as a service there. Remember, PowerShell is SC as an alias. Therefore, you need to use sc.exe. Yes, we remember and we thank you for this, telling us this once, but twice might be much, right? Now, let's look at another service without proper quotation. So, here we have no quotations. And we could just list all the services. And they have not told us how to, but we knew from previous Googling. And when the SCM tries to execute the associated binary a problem arises. Since there are spaces in the name of disk sorter enterprise folder, the command becomes ambiguous, and the SCM does not know which of the following you're trying to execute. So, disk exe, disk sorter exe, or disk sorter enterprise bin. Yeah. So the spaces, and this is obvious, but do we want to make a note of this? Or is it obvious, right? That these will be instead seen as arguments here. I guess this is why they used given parameters here, though they could have set arguments to be the same in that case. They didn't think about it probably. This has to do with how the command prompt parses a command. Usually when you send a command, spaces are used as argument separators, unless they are part of a quoted string. This means the right interpretation is the unquoted word will be to execute C my program's disk exe and take the rest as arguments. Instead of failing as it probably should, SCM tries to help the user and starts searching for each of the binary in the order shown in the table. So this is the order it searches for them, meaning we can put a file here, we can execute that instead. First, search for if it exists. Well, this is just repeating what it said. This option is expected to succeed and will typically be run in the default installation because the other files won't exist. From this behavior, the problem becomes evident. If an attacker creates any of the executables that are searched for before the expected service executable, they can force the service to run as an arbitrary executable. I'm thinking, should we add this to notes? Somehow, that this is how it's searching. This is a search order. Might not be the right place. We might want to put this in separate files. But, you know. So, if it were not to be in a thing like this, and I paste, then we get a table. Yeah, assumed. So, execution order of unquoted path. I hate this. I can't delete the line here. So we have lots of space that I don't want there. Meaning we'll probably remove the full table and do something else. Let's have the path as an example without quotes, or it would be funny. It'd be too funny. Though, what we can do is this to make it actually visible. Then we're going to just delete this. Or I can. So if I cut this, oh look, that was enough to delete the thing. Alright, so I managed to delete the line I couldn't delete. Let's not care about the arguments. There. So I should call this stream making notes. Right. Let's actually add 1, 2, 3 there. And this makes it obvious what the exploit is, right? Which is good. So let's go back to where we were reading. From this behavior, the problem becomes evident. If an attacker creates any of the executables that are searched before the expected service executable, they can force the service to run an arbitrary executable. While this sounds trivial, most of the service executable will be installed under program files or C program files x86 by default, which isn't writable by unprivileged users. This prevents any vulnerable service from being exploited. There are exceptions to this rule. Some installers change the permission on the installed folders, making the service vulnerable. An administrator might decide to install service binaries in a non-default path. If such a path is world writable, the vulnerability can be exploited. In our case, the administrator installed the disk sorter binaries under C My Programs by default. This inherits the permissions of C, which allows any user to create files and folders in it. But I don't see why we couldn't make a C program here. If we have write on C. Permissions of C allows users to create files and folders. This is just odd. We can check this using iCackles. So command prompt. There might be something else blocking the program, but I don't think so. As a user, let's go to my C and let's make a folder called program. Here, right? No problem, no question about permissions. This is Windows 10. So iCackles my programs, users, and this is why we created the notes on iCackles. I wanted a list of all of the darn privileges. These. So users have read execute, and inheritance is on. AD. So the A is not in the list. AD and WD. User to create subdirectory. Allow directories. Maybe. So I wanted a full file, and I asked a list of permissions here. And I asked ChatGPT for this list. And apparently it's not full, because we don't have these. So let's check for all of them. OI, CI, here is inheritance, and then full. So OI, CI, RX. And RX is read and execute. What's not here is AD and WD. So I think we still have it up, actually. I mean, not us, but ChatGPT, which I'm doing the free version of. So please add AD and WD and possible other missing entries to the list. So let's just skip this out, but it will just be confusing for it. Let's just make this list, and it will use the same format. So certainly here are additional entries that could be relevant to a permission list, including AD and AD Active Directory and WD. I don't think Active Directory is the answer, really. We'll see what it says. Yeah, add. You see? This is ChatGPT. You can't trust what it says. You can just make it help you organize things. and it might be correct, but you have to test it. So I'm just moving this window for now so I can check quickly here. FMRXRWDPON, and then we added these. Why they did this when I paste it, I don't know. So this is supposed to be 10, and this is supposed to be 11 there. So then we have a longer list of special permissions. It is much longer actually. This comprehensive list should cover a wide range of common file and folder permissions. Well, I asked it from the start for a full list, and apparently it skipped stuff. So CI, OI, NPI, and then you have delete subfolder and files, RC read control. Let's copy these two. And notes are not always correct, so I'm not going to add this. This might not be correct. We could say that ChatGPT is the source though. I don't really need the numbers. We could just remove them instead. I started to do that the other day when we added this, but then I was like, well, it's not worth it, right? It's not worth messing about. So let's leave it for now. It's not worth editing all the lines. Now I edited a few to add it though. So closing it down again. So built-in users group as AD and WD, and now we can check it here. Allows adding files and subfolders. WD write data allows writing data to a file or creating new files in a directory. Allowing user to create subdirectories and files respectively. The process of creating an exe service payload with MSF Venom and transferring it to the target host is the same as before, so feel free to create the following payload and upload it to the server as before. We will also start a listener to receive the REST shell when it's executed, and we still have ours running there. Let's just confirm that this is the same one. We have exe service, we have Windows x64 reverse TCP, and I'm sure we don't even need to do it, but I'm curious why they added it when we already have it here, right? So let's just paste it just below here and make it the same format and see, is there anything different here, except for we included the prompt. So these are identical. Why call it rev svc2 when it's the same? Maybe they think we might have a new IP and they added in case we didn't do this like the same time connection and we would be confused by it not working. Maybe that's why. That's probably it. So to remind about this, they could have said that though. Once the payload is in the server, move it to any of the locations where hijacking might occur. In this case, we will be moving our payload to C my program's disk exe. We will also grant everyone for permission on the file to make sure it can be executed by the service. So we're not going to move it. We're going to download it to the right place instead to start with. We're going to have to make the directory though. No, because the directory exists, so we don't need to. So it's just the program one we would have to make. Why didn't they think about that? They just totally lost that bit of it. Whatever. I don't see why it shouldn't work. They're just removing a lot of things that you could do from the list of things to do. Why? I'll have to try that. See if there are some. I could just make a service with an unquoted path in program files and see why it wouldn't work. I think it works. So, to make this instruction complete, so here we don't have anything about finding it, because modify permissions on a service file is kinda, well, I was thinking, should I make something special because I added stuff before here. So I'm actually going to copy this, and then I'm going to update it to the current case. So we have MSF Venom, which is totally the same. We have share the file, which is totally the same. Then we have stop service, which is totally the same. Because if we can't stop it, we can't replace the file, which is like a thing they keep not thinking of, right? Replacing the file of a running service. We need permissions to stop it, to be able to do this. So I'll have to look into that later to see why. Because their instructions didn't work, right? We tried restarting it and or starting it when we just did the file. Let's actually do it once more, just to make sure that I didn't mess up. So let's do the one where we can see. The service is still not running, of course, because I killed it. So we can't test it now. So let's do it while we test this one. Let's not stop the service. For now, let's, how should I show myself this is not doing now? Let's make like just comment, C comment for this, meaning we shouldn't do this for now. Stop service. So we're going to share it. It's already shared. It's there still. PS, yeah, so getting it is exactly the same. We only need to change the path to be the new path, and the new path is oh, I failed my tabbing. Here, this is the new path. So there. This path is now replaced. Oh no. There. Now it is replaced. In the CMD one, replace it in the vget one. There. Both are now correct. Then they're granting the new file permissions, which failed before, but now we're creating a new file that didn't exist, that we are the owner of because we created it. So now this will work. So we will need to add this to the command here. After downloading the file, we will need to set the permissions on the file. And this is both cmd and ps, and whatever did I write first before? PS cmd, yeah, I was thinking I did the other order right, because PS is newer, so I was trying to be modern here. PS comma cmd, because iCycles is a command, it's not anything that's part of PowerShell. I think I might have replaced what I copied, so also there were special characters in there. Actually, first we need to copy it. Let's start by cmd, so we get better error messages. And cmd, I'm just copying the command here on the notes and pasting it with the correct path already. We're actually creating a file here called disk.exe by downloading it to it. So let's actually write no special characters. So cd my programs there. So we should have the new file disk.exe here. And let's do iCackles on disk.exe. And we can see that users don't have full. THM unpriv has full, which is us, because we made the file now, meaning we can set the permissions with iCycles here. So there. So now we have changed the permissions of this file. We have added everyone full, which is kind of high permission to allow the service to start, right? I'd like to know more about how does permissions on services work. Are they using the actual ACLs on the files to do that, or is it something in the registry too, or whatever, you know? No internet access. I'm just thinking, is there anything I need to add? No, and the next step here that we in the copied notes is to start a listener, and it's already running, and then it's start service, but this is the ones that we have commented out, because now we're going to use the restart command, or rather we will just stop and start it to make sure. And the name of the current service is Disk Sorter Enterprise. So let's use SC. We're at the command prompt. Though actually, let's not. Let's use net, but let's paste the command here. And let's take this opportunity to see if this name works with net too, because net gives us better feedback. So now we stop the service, and in this case, this works because we didn't overwrite the file. I should probably like make a bug report on this room, and there it works. So let's update the notes because we don't really need the commented lines, and we need a restart. So let's now do a restart of it. Let's actually keep these two and just copy the other commands. So they are here, they're just in another tab. So here's the PowerShell stop command, and we now want the restart service command for PowerShell. There. The force is for the close down of the service, and then we want the command here that we need to test that we still have not run successfully, and the service name needs to be put in here, of course. So I will not repeat the full name here of everything, but I'm going to copy from the machine just the service name, which is Disk Sorter Enterprise. So I think these are not a good, it's not more readable, you know. Let's run it, and then let's actually revert the commands notes. Since I don't have special characters, the keyboard is not set. This is easier. So now I did this, the PowerShell command that will never work here. Delete all of it. I'm going to copy the CMD one instead, and this will start it. Let's make sure. No, so this didn't work. Because we have the wrong file. Oh, that's stupid of me. And this will fail because it's this is conditional. So it works. I will actually keep the notes. I don't want to restart the box just for this. I'm certain that it works, but it is not tested. There. And if we would have problems with this, we have the start and stops even here. So let's actually, these file copy commands, it's good to have examples, but to have Windows scheduler here is not really necessary. There. Just confirming that there's only one start. Oh, that's annoying. It deleted both when I deleted one of them. So now we have correct. And these are one line formatting these. The smartness of adding two of them, you know, is not always good. And it doesn't always work as expected. Anyway, we have our windows here, and we need to go. Let's first do who am I, and it will be number 2 now. So I'm going to, since I don't have special keys, be able to do it the long way. CD users, CD SVC USR2 and it was in desktop another one, and then we well, it will probably be called flag 2, right? Let's look. No, it's just flag. It was flag for the other one too. So type flag.txt, quotes everywhere. Yeah, we should have quotes everywhere. There. So we're going to go down to the bottom, which is not as far away now. There. And then administrator's desktop is the last one. So we're going for a service that's run by administrator. That's the only difference. It sounds like something should be more cool, but it's just so we have insecure service permissions now, and this is something I really want to know more about. So I will copy this first, and we're going to make a new bit of notes here. Yeah, 1 tab should be enough, and it's a new line that makes it that way, and the tab. So let's do exploiting insecure service permissions, and then we're going to hopefully have how to find these first. I'm getting hungry. I will do a quick pause before we start this one and actually just make food for myself quickly. And I think yeah, I'll make something that's kind of quick. But let's put up a sign. So I'm just making some lunch, and I'll continue soon. We can add an hour here, though. Yeah, we'll be here for more than 44 minutes. So it's time to make lunch. My tummy had the perfect timing, right? It's 12, 2 minutes to 12, and it told me eat. Well, that's good timing. So I'm just making a simple noodle soup with meatballs and paprika in it. We'll see. What I just happened to have recently had. The broccoli's out. We have to buy broccoli. Oh, broccoli. So, let's quickly check through this because I don't want to read before I have. So we have more stuff here to do, which is great. My ear is very focused on the one that's not plugged in. I can't hear anything. On the sound of boiling downstairs. Insecure service permissions. You might still have a slight chance of taking advantage of a service if the service executable DACL is well configured. And the service's binary path is highly quoted. Should the service DACL, not the service executable DACL, allow you to modify the configuration. So I did close the tab here. Please make we want the list of the service DACLs too, right? Make a similar list for service DACLs and tell me how to list these in PS and CMD. So let's see. It missed a few on this. Interrogate the service status. Yeah. All right. I'll get a lunch message out of there. Listing service tackles. But seriously, let me just instead go down. I think it's boiling now. I need maybe like 2 minutes up here. So I don't know if you can see. So it's just simple chicken noodle soup with meatballs and 1 orange paprika cut into pieces. There's lots of paprika in this. add a lot of water or the actual soap. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, now we can get rid of the lunch one. And I'm hungry, so this will be very warm. It will be boiling temperature. So I will continue. I'll just get a bite or two. Too hot. I just cut the meatballs into 4 pieces, so. It'll have to cool off, but now I have something in my tummy. To list the decals for a specific service, you can use setACL commandlet in combination with the get service to receive the access control list up for the service. Here's an example. Service get VMI object class 32 service filter. Nice. So we're using VMI. Your service name, service path. So we'll ask you to make a one-liner of these. The script retrieved your service name displays its decals. For more detailed output into specific permissions for each user group, you might need to parse the entries. SCSD show. It's straightforward. Less straightforward. Okay. I thought if this gave the same, that would be funny. Display security descriptor of the source, however, interpreting the output requires knowledge of SDDL, security descriptor definition language. The output will be in SDDL format. To decode it, you will need additional tools or scripts. Unfortunately, alternatively, you could PowerShell to translate and display the information, but they will still have PowerShell, you know. Replace with the actual name. Oh my. You might need alternative privileges to view modified decals on the service, understanding interpreting decals. Yeah, so it's kind of good at this, you know. Basic information. There might be some error, it must have missed something. Please make one-liners of the 2 PS scripts, so it must miss one of them. Certainly. One-liner versions. So right. When the retro service name .access. So let's actually first are we getting the name from one thing and sending the name? I think it's doing something odd. Well, I won't look into that more now because I want to eat at the same time and I don't want to type a lot when I have food that's kind of boiling in front of me. And also, I'm eating hot food when it's 29.9 Celsius in here. The sun is not as on today, it's cloudy actually. It's still very bright and like warm outside. I'm just blowing the noodles. Maybe I shouldn't have kept all the soup. It's very lots of moisture, lots of liquid. Well, lots of 100-degree almost non-drinkable soup. Right. So let's look at theirs now. Should the service DACL, not the service's executable DACL, allow you to modify the configuration of a service, you will be able to reconfigure the service. This will allow you to point to any executable you need and run it with any account you prefer, including system itself. To check for a service DACL from the command line, you can use access check from the sysinternal suite. Well, we don't want any external programs here if we can avoid it. For your convenience, the copy is available to C tools. I think the last one mentioned the sysinternals tool too, right? Or it actually was the one that we're looking at. The graphical one. So I prefer if we can do things without having to download things. Of course. So maybe we should try ChatGPT's suggestions. Sorry for being slow when I'm eating, but I need to... The actual scheduled time is stopped already, so I'm just cheating a bit.